You are now entering Coal Country.
Let's move on. Talk a little bit about playoff projections. So the college football playoff, was it rankings? It's not like a poll, but like the first playoff rankings came out today. And was it the AP that made it, or was it ESPN? I think it was the AP.
I believe it's the selection committee.
No, it's just the college football.
It's just a committee.
Yeah.
Okay, so from now on, this is like really the only list that matters, because anyone who's outside of those projections, it doesn't matter if you're in the AP or not, you're not getting to the playoffs. So this is what matters the rest of the year. So I can go ahead and pull it up, Tyler, if you would like to discuss a little more about it.
Is this on my list?
Yes, your list is in here.
So this is not the current rankings. This is how I would have it play out if I were in charge. It is, the largely the same.
Could we Jarvis enhance on this? I can't see the seed numbers.
Yeah, it is
Jarvis
a little far. It is what it is. Right now, we have the same 1 seed. I'm comparing mine to the playoff committee. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3. We differ. I'm still in the opinion that BYU should be 4. 8-0 is 8-0. You have a win over a Utah team that looks better and better as the year goes on. So I'm having BYU 4, Alabama 5, Georgia 6, which is in the same order except moving BYU up. Man, I don't even know who I have 7 because I'm getting lost in the Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is 7.
Ole Miss 7, Texas Tech 8, Oregon 9. Texas 10, that one's going to be one to talk about. Virginia 11, James Madison 12. Texas is out of the actual college football playoff rankings. They're a little lower. They have Notre Dame 10, Virginia 11, as do I, and they have Memphis as the G5 bid. So this is using the rules that 5 conference champions have to make it. I'm saying James Madison right now deserves the G5 spot a little bit over Memphis. I'm going to turn this off because it's kind of in our.
I mean, I know we're making our lists based off of information available now, but I mean, for Group of 5, you do kind of have to do a little bit of predicting for your pick here.
You do have to do a little bit. If the season ended today, I'm giving it to James Madison just by the just barely. I mean, it's between them and Memphis. Memphis has a loss to a G5 team. James Madison has a loss to a borderline playoff team in Louisville. So I'm giving the edge to Memphis or James Madison right now. The committee has it being going to Memphis. Either way, they're the same seed. It'll come down to these last couple games. The only other note is Texas over Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's way too high. They've beaten USC and lost to a team that is currently ranked number 3 and a team that gets lower and lower as the year goes on. Mario Cristobal November Masterclass. Disaster class, if you will.
So I made my playoff bracket. I don't have it pulled up here, but I made my bracket based on my prediction for the end of the year. So that's the difference between mine and yours, Tyler. So right now, I don't hate your list. So I do think I have Notre Dame in mind because I think they went out and the committee is going to look at that and say it's a 10-2 Notre Dame team. We can't leave them out because it's the same thing as the Texas Longhorn, which is why I like that you have them in here right now. The Longhorn does a lot for your playoff chances, just the logo. And I think Notre Dame is the same. And if they went out and go 10-2, I think Notre Dame makes it in. I do not have Texas in my playoff bid. Not sure if they drop a game remaining on their schedule.
It kind of looks likely.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. So that's why I don't have them in there. I also agree with you with the inclusion of James Madison. If it had to be right now, I'm with you. I put James Madison in this Group of 5 bid. But for my opinion, on the end of the year, I have South Florida in there as the 12th because I believe they can win out and win the American Conference. So that's why I have South Florida in there.
The race between Memphis, USF, and North Texas is going to be interesting.
Yeah, the American Conference is low key just as fun to watch as any of the
Yes.
power conferences. So
This,
interesting race.
for me, this is what I would have if the season ended right now. If it was projections, I, as well as you, have Notre Dame in at 10-2. And then, excuse me, the only other difference is I have Louisville in over Virginia because I imagine Louisville and Virginia are the ACC title contender teams. They're the two teams that make it, and I think Louisville gets the better of Virginia the second time around. But if the season ended today, this is what I would have.
That's fair enough. I mean, other than JMU in there right now and Texas, we discussed that. We have all the same teams in there, just in different orders. I'm guessing depending on conference champions and who even plays in the championship in the first place. So I'm with you. I have Ohio State winning the whole thing right now, going back to back.
I mean, defensively, they've looked ridiculous. Indiana, I still think can give them a run for their money, especially with that high-powered offense with Fernando Mendoza. I just think Ohio State is so good defensively, and Julian Sayin is playing so out of his mind in terms of efficiency that they look like the best team in the country. I do have them beat Alabama. I think that's a good game. Alabama is probably as Matt Lom said last episode, I believe the hottest team in the country. They lose to Florida State, and they have not skipped a beat since then. It's close.
Ty
That
Simpson
would be a
versus
good game.
Julian Sayin
That'd be a really
in the
good game.
playoff. Julian Sayin's currently the favorite to win the Heisman, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's plus 175 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Back to the CFP. We only put the top 12 in here because, the top 12 is the only ones that really matter. In terms of the 25, there's one in particular we talked about beforehand, and it's only about a skip and a hop away from Morgantown up in Pittsburgh. They land at 24. I'm going to be a hater and say they shouldn't be there. What do y'all have to say?
If it were me, I probably wouldn't include them in the rankings right now, but I know you feel strongly against it, but I can see why they got votes in the AP poll, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like how I was mentioning to you guys before we started recording. I mean, Pitt is basically Houston in a different font. I mean, their wins are against teams that have basically struggled or have a losing record. So, I mean, for Houston to be ranked, what were they, 22 or 23?
Well, Houston
Let me
is
look
not.
that
I'm talking
up.
strictly
Well,
college
I'm
football.
talking last week. Last week.
Last week Houston was 22.
So for Pitt to be 23, now
But
do I agree they should be there? No, but if it doesn't get me super upset, I just disagree.
last week Houston didn't have a loss to West Virginia. This week they do. Houston is not ranked. I don't have either of them ranked in my personal top 25. It's just something to note because they're 0-1 against ranked teams, and that's Louisville. They have a really bad loss to us, and they're 5-0 or 6-0 against everybody else. And the everybody else, I believe, has a combined, not including Duquesne, I believe has a combined record of 16-28. Their past 5 opponents have a combined record of 16-28. And it's just not enough for me. Right behind them at 25 is Tennessee. I think that's ridiculous as well. The fact that you don't rank any G5 team, Memphis is that 12 spot in their CFP rankings, but they're not in the top 25. Yet you have Tennessee in there that's 0-3 against the only 3 ranked teams they've played this season. Again, seems kind of ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree that you don't have one G5 team in there. Again, I see your point with Pitt, but I'm sort of indifferent about it because the way I'm looking at it, I would love if they were in the conversation and their loss against us kept them out of it.
Oh,
That's
I still think that would be the funniest thing ever.
That's what I'm
So,
rooting for.
If they went out and either lose one more game or get left out with 2 losses and one of them happens to beat us, yeah, go for it. That's all fine and dandy. I'm just saying I don't think they have the resume to be right there in the top 25 just yet. They'd be around the 27, 28-ish mark.
Yeah, I see why they're getting votes.
There's a couple things to note. Notre Dame above Virginia and Louisville at this point seems interesting to me, given Notre Dame's 6-2 with one ranked win. Virginia and Louisville are both 7-1 with Virginia has a ranked win over Louisville, and Louisville has a ranked win over Virginia and 2 ranked wins over Virginia and Miami. I don't believe Virginia has another one.
No,
but
and Florida State, right?
I'm saying currently ranked.
Currently ranked. Okay.
Currently
Yeah,
ranked.
so never mind.
So, something we talked about beforehand was Utah or Texas, who should get that 10 spot, because Virginia and James Madison and our model are getting it by default because they win the conference. So Texas gets that last at-large bid. It's just it's right there, but for me, it's neck and neck between Texas and Utah. I think the Oklahoma win boosts Texas a lot more than the Cincinnati win for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Red River, it's a rivalry game. I think that's sort of what the committee is taking into consideration with Pitt as well when they're looking at the WVU loss, that it's a rivalry game
On the road, too.
on the road. So,
In
yeah,
overtime.
weird thing to consider. You keep piling on to it. Yeah, it's a weird thing to consider.
Other than that, I don't see anything too bad. We've talked about it for the last couple of weeks that the top 3 could kind of be in any order. I would have BYU higher, but the next 3 is Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Oregon in any order, or Texas Tech, Oregon in any order. So, not a ton of controversy in my eyes. Just a couple things here and there.
Yeah, the numbers start to matter less, especially when you start to see certain teams separate from the rest of the pack. So,
if you ask me, there's only 4 or 5 teams I think capable of winning it all this year.
That's not a atrocious thing to say, because
Yeah.
the way that the SEC and Big Ten have sort of separated themselves in the poll, apart from BYU and Texas Tech, right? Like, they're up there, but like the ACC has sort of fallen off. I mean, you look at Miami losing to SMU, and then Florida State being where they are, Georgia Tech falling to NC State. You really only have Virginia up there, who's also looked very questionable against the likes of North Carolina.
It's like you said, Virginia's playing like they're trying to give away a game.
Yeah.
So
I think those teams right now, like Ohio State could obviously win it, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Ole Miss is right there on the border. I see them struggling if they end up matching up against one of those top 5. They obviously have a loss to one of those at Georgia. So Ole Miss is right there on the border. I don't know if they could do it. BYU and Texas Tech, I don't think they match up well against either of, Ohio State, Alabama. Oregon, you lose by 10 at home to Indiana. So can you do it when the game matters and it's on the line? I like you, Dan Lanning, but I just don't know. Notre Dame is, again, questionable, because one of the teams that we're including is in that conversation is A&M, and Notre Dame has a 1-point loss to them.
Yeah.
So
you talking about Dan Lanning, him and Dylan Gabriel were no-shows in the playoffs last year. So
you get your opportunity to beat the eventual national championships, and you lay a goose egg. So can you do it this year against an Ohio State team whose defense looks elite, an Indiana team whose offense looks elite? Same goes for A&M. Like I said, only about 5 or 6 teams I think capable of winning it all.